Hey, good looking. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here, I'm Kendra Morgan, and I put out content weekly centered around single eyeshadows, makeup brushes, sunscreens, beauty content. Okay. This week we are doing a live chatty, get ready with me style of video where I'm just going to sit here and talk with you guys. It was supposed to be, ideally, it would have been nothing that you can actually nothing that's going on my face is anything that you can actually buy. It's supposed to all be discontinued, which I'm doing a pretty good job at because, like, for example, this right here, that's discontinued. I think the Natasha Denona foundation is discontinued, but I was going to use my Makeup Geek brushes and they're dirty and I just can't stand for long periods of time. So we've got the brushes here, and we're just going to be using what I've got. I've got a bunch of discontinued brushes though. Makeup Geek brushes are here, but I was going to use the eye brushes that she last launched and they're no longer available to purchase. So that would help you guys and encourage you guys not to focus on anything that I'm using on my face for you guys to purchase. So that was the idea. I want to give you guys what I've gained from my no buy. When you stop purchasing, it gives you more time and more headspace. Hi everybody in the chat. Welcome to my live stream. Little get ready with me. And you guys, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to go ahead and face the camera down. We'll go ahead and pick out a palette. I got a couple options that I'd like for you guys to choose from, but if you guys want to use a palette that's perhaps still available for purchase, that's fine as well. I just wanted to try to evade any kind of temptation around purchasing a palette that I'm using. I didn't want to entice anybody. So we'll get started on that in just a couple minutes. I want to go through what I gained when I stopped buying so much. First of all, I think my headspace cleared up. So let me take you through the vicious cycle of purchasing. What happened? So inevitably, I would find something that I really liked, whether it was through Instagram or I would hear from a friend or, whatever. All right. And I would go to the website and I would really want this item or many items. Black Friday at the very least. That's actually kind of like right before my no buy ends. It's actually December 8th, but I might go ahead and give myself a little grace and start Black Friday if there is something that's on my wish list that I'm really wanting to purchase. But yeah, so Cicely. Oh, hello. Hi, Justin. That's my husband. Everybody say hello to him. But Cicely's on a no buy right now, so you've come to the right place. I would find something and then I would think of like content that I could create around that. And I would be like, I could do this, and this. And that's what I would try to focus on and what I would try to, do. And then I would convince myself, I'm not buying anything on Black Friday, don't worry. But if I could, I do have a wish list. And that was on the previous video. So I have down in the description bar should be linked my not get ready with me, but my live streams on my no buy series here. So you guys can go check those out. If you haven't been following along, you can, go and indulge in some more content if you want. But I would buy something. Typically it was Black Friday. And I used to joke about Black Friday not being that brands would get out of the red and go into the black and be, profitable at that point. I would call it, I blacked out, don't even know what I bought. And then the packages would start rolling in. My husband could probably vouch for me on this one. So and then I would say like, I'm going to create all this content around all this stuff. And it just was so overwhelming and so much. And you kind of get wrapped up in this idea. I wanted to appeal to a large audience. So I needed a large collection. And then I started my no buy because just buying that much stuff is just not really in the budget. It's not really conducive for your headspace. And it doesn't actually help with content, believe it or not. I'm here to tell you it doesn't help with content that much when you buy a lot, unless your channel is just around reviews and what I bought and hauls and stuff like that. If your target audience is not that, then I would say you've got enough already if you're planning content around stuff. But I would then get just in this this headspace of trying to get content and I was trying to appeal to a mass audience, right? And that is something that a lot of content creators, I think they get wrapped up in because they think they need to buy more to get people, to subscribe to their channel, which it's a slippery little slope. I don't know that that's always the right way to do things, but I would try to do that. And then I started to see that I was buying all this stuff that I wasn't going to use unless I duped this palette or unless I made this palette, the what I'm using instead, or the duping the vibes is, what people term it as. And I got to the place where I was buying stuff I wasn't actually using. Like, I don't really typically use yellow eyeshadow. That's my son's favorite color, by the way. But I don't typically use a lot of yellow eyeshadow. And here I was buying 4 different canary yellows because the next time that Manny MUA launches another Lunar Moon Spell palette, it's likely to have a yellow shade and I want to be ready for it. That's what I'm thinking, right? But in reality, am I likely to choose to dupe the vibes of a palette that I'm not going to wear? The answer is no. So I don't have to own, all these different yellows. Yeah, it's nice if you own some sort of goldenrod color that you're likely to use. And then you can use that in place of the canary yellow that's found in Manny's palette, which, by the way, he's never launched a palette with a yellow in it, I don't think. But anyways, that's just an example. So I brought forth a lot of mental clarity. And when I started doing that, I started realizing how much I felt inadequate unless I was buying something. Like, it just didn't feel right that I wasn't buying. That was that vicious cycle. And I would buy something and then I would be like, I don't need anything else after this because this palette offers this, this, and this, right? I don't need anything else. Typically, I would do that with rainbow palettes. Like, I bought the Color Rain Vivid Brights palette and I was like, I don't need anything else. Oh, wow. So Cicely, you just duped the vibes of the Cosmic Brushes Serenity palette yesterday. Oh, yeah. Okay. Is that the one that's, it's beautiful. It's got purples and greens primarily. I'm gonna have to check that out if you did. So yeah, I don't know. Actually, I saw Strawberry Dreams. That's who I was thinking of. Who was it? Oh, it was Kara's when she was getting rid of these palettes. She had opened up a Manny palette and I was like, I would never desire to own that palette. I would never desire to even dupe that palette. But, I would if somebody asked me on my channel, was like, man, I'm really craving this palette. I know I don't need it. Could you dupe it out for me? But that might be something that I would post to Instagram and be like, here's what I would use instead, or here's some ideas. I was like, so here I am buying something, then I would tell myself, okay, I don't need anything else because I've got all the colors of the rainbow in this palette, so I don't need anything else. And then lo and behold, something else would come along and I would buy it too because I'm like, yeah, but this doesn't have what this has to offer. And I quickly realized that you're always going to need or want something else because there's a lot of differences in formulas. I can remember, well, let's go ahead and pick out a palette, shall we? We've got a few of you guys online here. So I'll go ahead and we'll pick out a palette. I saw somebody do this. I don't remember on what live stream it was, but I think it does have yellow. I think it does. Actually, I know it has pinks and purples. And I just remember thinking like, oh, I don't like pink. I would never do that palette. I could never do that palette. But let's go ahead. I saw somebody on a live stream and they just moved their camera and I was like, well, why can't I do that? I can't. I mean, hopefully I don't make anybody sick, but I got here some palettes. Let me see. And then I'm just going to go ahead and like tilt you guys downwards. So don't get sick. Don't get sick. But anyways, oopsie daisy. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay. This palette right here, MAC, Tempting Fate palette. Tempting Fate. It's the Feast Your Eyes palette. This one is no longer available. So I was thinking this could be a contender in something that I use today. And it looks very fall-esque vibe. So that would be nice. And then also I do have the very first Pat McGrath. I call it the bargain for us bargain shoppers. The palette. So it is the Celestial Divinity palette and it is no longer for sale. Now, that's not to say you can't get on like Mercari or the gently used sites and purchase it if you really wanted to. But I did check on this palette and it is like insanely expensive if you were to purchase it. So I think I'm pretty safe if we used that one too. I just want to make sure I'm not tempting anybody by, using a palette that somebody could potentially buy. This is a Sweet Peach palette. Actually, you could probably get that at TJ Maxx. That's pretty good. BH Cosmetics got a few palettes here. They're no longer offered. They're no longer offered on the website. I don't know. Saint Tropez might be. It might be. I'm not sure. Somebody shout out is what is still left on the BH Cosmetics website to buy. I'm not talking about their new launch that epically flopped. Okay, and then I do have some Natasha Denona, but see, she does keep that kind of stuff around. These are like BoxyCharm. This is a BoxyCharm exclusive, and I'm pretty sure you can buy this as well. So maybe not quite an option that we'd want to go with. Oh, here's one. It's no longer available, but this is the Fantasia palette. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Natasha Denona Tropic palette. I actually took back my Tropic palette because I like this one and its formula better. So that might be an option for us as well. That's fine, Ruby. Thank you so much for joining in for what you can do. And then I've got this Lorac palette here, which I don't think these are, these might still be available on the website, but maybe at a discount. Haven't used them. And somebody did request, they're like, do more Lorac Pro because I own this and I don't, use it enough. So they're just a really, really basic formula though. It kind of remind me of ABH. So I think if nobody throws up any ideas, we're going to go with the MAC. Is this called Tempting? It's called Feast Your Eyes. I can never remember if it's Tempting Fate or Feast Your Eyes. I think I'm going to do this. Rupi, I think that it sounds wonderful that you are going to be, selling gently used makeup because, there's no way that we can use all this stuff. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put me back up. I have to do it really gently. I don't have like the best equipment. Is it lopsided? It kind of looks lopsided there. My shirt. This is too small. I own like 6 of these black V-neck shirts and somehow I grabbed this one and it's too small. Anyways, we'll go ahead and use the Feast Your Eyes. I like this. I like it for fall too. And I'm using the Makeup Geek Outer V brush. I watched well, okay. First of all, there's a couple different directions we could go here. That is so neat. Yes, I think one of my tips when going on a no buy is going to be don't declutter anything because what happens is that rubber band effect of you get rid of, you purge, and then you have that empty feeling, that void you need to fill. I feel like this is probably lopsided, is it? It doesn't look lopsided on the screen, so I think we're fine. That MAC palette is pretty, yes, and it's not available, so you can't buy it. So that's why we want to use it. But if you declutter, I almost get this feeling of like this rubber band effect of like, now I must go out and get more stuff because A, I have the room. So then you can justify it easier. And B, you feel like there's this like, almost like this void, right? So we want to get away from that because you're already going to be going through enough of the emotions as is. Do we want to do like an orange vibe? Do I want to do a green vibe? Or do I just want to stick to these like shimmery, shiny colors? And I've got also, I'm still using what I'm using instead palette from Natasha Denona. Spoiler, I don't think this is going to be a buy for me. These darker, vibrant purples, I don't know. And I love purple too, but I don't know why I would want neutral browns to go in the crease, not like a neutral peachy pink or not like a cool tone brown. I don't know. I would just switch things out. I would just switch things out. But nonetheless, we've got that also. So I could do. Yes. And that is probably going to have to be a number one tip, not number one tip, but it's going to be like something that I would probably recommend to people is you're going to have this rubber band effect if you declutter, and you might find yourself at a weak point. You might find yourself justifying what would have normally been a straight path of, that was easy. I could have said no, but then I got rid of all those lipsticks. And lipsticks, I'm going to tell you right now, that's one of the hard ones. You can easily spend and overspend in that budget department with like something like a lipstick, and they don't last. For me, they don't last very long. I had so many liquid lipsticks I got rid of, and I didn't have any problems getting rid of those, and I didn't feel that rubber band effect, but they just didn't last very long. And I was like, wow, these only, 2 years, I think is what I used them for. And they got great use and all this other stuff. But yeah, just, I don't know. Okay. So these leather, what are they called? Sparkler, leather luster. That's what they're called. And they're like a creamy matte. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've not even planned anything, but this is a beautiful brown. Should I do neutral? Should I do something with color? So anyways, I definitely figured out a lot of things. And what a terribly vicious cycle. And I think if I just would have stopped telling myself, like, why did you just spend this money, Kendra? Why did you just buy this makeup, Kendra? Why did you just, go all out and do that? If I would have talked to myself in a kinder manner, I would have probably been able to stop myself a lot sooner. Love you too, sweetheart. My husband's going to work. He is in San Diego right now, and he will be going to Phoenix. Can you let us know where you're going? Are you going to Phoenix next? I can't remember. No, you're going to Dallas. Yeah, he's going to Dallas, folks. So I'll be in my time zone again. So yeah. I think that, I never realized talking to yourself in a very kind manner is, oh, I need to really probably set these. I'll just grab my physician's formula. This also came from the Tempting Fate collection. Yeah, so busy day for you. Busy, busy day. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to go ahead and set the eyes. I'll just set kind of right here where this crease is the most, because this part was already set. See, I'm not really very good at doing like chatty get ready with me's. That's why you don't see them a lot on my channel, which I pride myself on because, I just like to get on camera and do a little swatch party, and then you feel sick with guilt and you beat yourself up and you don't like it. That's the exact cycle. And you're not the only one that feels that way. I felt that way. I know other people feel that way too. If you're feeling that way, there's definitely other people feeling that way too. And it's a terrible cycle. And what I would say to that is make sure, number one, that you're talking to yourself with kindness. Talking to yourself with kindness. The number one thing that's probably made me so very successful at this was not treating the symptom, which is you're buying because there's something else uncomfortable that you're not willing to feel at this moment in time. And usually when you do a fishbone or a 5 why analysis, that's my number one tip. I talked about that in my very first live stream in this series, and it should be linked down below. But I talk about it, and it's like, discover why you are doing what you're doing, and you'll see it has nothing to do with makeup and nothing to do really with the act of buying, but what buying can make you temporarily feel in those moments of usually anxiety. It's usually anxiety and depression. A lot of times they both go hand in hand. So doing kind of a 5 why analysis where you ask yourself why 5 times, and you start to really dig deep inside of you to find out what it is that's causing you. And it's usually a feeling that's very uncomfortable that you don't really want to feel. And so maybe sometimes oh, thank you so much for watching that video. I hope it was helpful, and I hope we can continue doing this. I'm doing this series. I kind of just started this series because I broke my foot, and a lot of times I would use like you know, a lot of times when I film, I have a lot of B-roll, and I'll stand for that B-roll or I'll move around and such. And I wasn't able to really do that right now. Should I try to use like the pink around? I don't feel like that's going to work. It's this color or this color. It's not both. Let me try this. I think I tried this brush with this, what color? I don't even know, but it's this pink right here. These leather lusters, I hope they never, look. See, it picked up okay on that part right there, but I hope I never have to experience that again in another MAC palette if I ever buy it. I don't think that they've ever done that before. I don't think that's in their regular line. And of course I have to be using brushes that I haven't used in a while. Here we go. So anyways, I used to do like B-roll and stuff like that, and I can't really stand. So I thought, well, I'm just going to do a live stream, put out some content. Nobody ever joins me. That's fine. That's definitely fine. And to be quite honest with you, this has been a much bigger success than I could ever hope for. And I know that many people are struggling with this concept and this idea. And we are definitely in this post-pandemic climate, if you will. And people are feeling the heaviness even more than they've ever felt. And it's like, I didn't think this was going to be a possibility. I didn't think this was going to be real. I thought when we got back to, you know, our new normal, that things would slow down, you know? And they really didn't. Yeah, tell me about it. I think I suffer from anxiety and depression, and definitely hormone imbalance. That's probably me. Like, you know, I'll put my hand up, right? I think everybody was not themselves during the pandemic. And that's just kind of like that in a nutshell. I think a lot of people saw a part of them come out that they never experienced before. So, Stephen, you're talking about having a mental health crisis and, you know, spending savings in a matter of weeks. And I definitely feel you right there. I definitely feel you. I hope that, you know, sitting here talking about this can be helpful for you guys. This is like patchy. Can anyone see this? This is like patchy. Maybe it's not showing up on camera, but it's patchy. In real life, it's patchy. Maybe that's why they never made any more of these palettes. Probably a good thing, even though the theory behind it's really pretty. I did dupe the vibes. I think it was a live stream actually, and I used a bunch of ColourPop because actually one of the things that I did kind of discover is having a reference point is really good. So like, I don't need to own all the Pat McGrath palettes, but pick the one palette that I feel fits me, buy it, which I did, which was the Midnight Sun. And then I've got a feel for how these, you know, shadows work, right? Did I bring my spray? I didn't. And you know, I don't even think I brought my MAC. No, I brought my P21. I was so proud of myself. I asked Reffer, I was like, yeah, see, I can relate too. It's like I wouldn't even, I guess I can share this. Yeah. Oh, I mean, let me tell you how mine didn't even have savings. Mine was just, I would put it all on the credit card because I said credit card. You already know there's going to be a problem there. I'd put it on the credit card because I didn't want to use my bank card because I felt unsafe. Like, well, if somebody accessed and hacked into things, then, you know, it could be a bad deal. So I'll just use my credit card. Well, then you already know what happens after that. You way overspend. And I never understood how people could overspend on a credit card. It's like, you don't have the money though. Didn't you just turn around and pay the bill? Well, I found out it's easy. It's like, okay, yeah, when the bill comes due, then I'll just go ahead and, I'll pay it off, right? Think again. And then I would turn around and look at it and I was like, how did I just spend that much money on, I feel like not that much makeup, and it happens. And I have this all or nothing mentality. I found that out when I was in other aspects of my life. I have this all or nothing mentality, and it's actually it's not good. Because take, for example, I found it out when I was dieting. It was like I was either going to be 100% clean eating, clean, if you want to call it that, which that in itself is like a really toxic, bad thing, to say clean, because there is no such thing as good or bad food. We're not here for dieting. Anyways, I use that mentality on dieting and exercise. Like I could not miss a day of Zumba. Okay. I could not miss a day of going to the gym and exercising. And then once I did, I was just paralyzed with fear that I would never go back. And I was like, wow, Kendra, if you have to miss, it's okay. And the only time I could miss something like that is if I had a justifiable excuse, something else took precedence. So, okay, I can sit up a lot more than I am. So I think it happens more often than we'd like to admit. And I kind of want to break that stigma. I want to talk about it. You want to know why? Because I didn't see people talk about it until Hannah Louise posted, and even then she was very, very poetic about how she talked about it. And I was like, oh, mine is definitely ugly, Hannah. I can't relate. And that's fine. To some people, they want to be talked to gently about that kind of stuff. And I don't want to be here like harsh on myself or talk harshly about it, but I didn't feel like I could relate to something like that. But then I got into it, and she actually did a podcast with, what was it? She does budgeting and stuff like that. And she talks more in depth about it. And she talks more about the money aspect of it and things of that nature. And come to find out, it's like very similar to my story, or very similar to many other people's stories. You overspend, and then you're either in that kind of like that little debt area where you got to kind of dig your way back out, or you've spent too much of your savings, and now what? So far I've managed to mostly leave my credit cards alone. That's good, but it's definitely been hard at times. So hard. I agree. That was the dumbest thing I could ever do. And, I used to think about people, and it's not that I judge them. I just would be like, okay, how does that work? How do you overspend if you don't have the money in your account? I didn't understand that. I'd managed to go through college without spending. Right. And so I didn't quite understand it. And then once I got out there, I was like, oh, I see how it happens, because you feel like you don't have to pay attention to the price because you're never going to go negative, so to speak. You won't go in the negative. I'm going to use this guy right here. This is a sparkler shade if I've ever seen one before. I love it. And I remember, Rupi, when you got this palette, you were like, they're very different. And I was like, but I don't feel like there needs to be two of them. And let me go ahead and turn this off for just a second. I don't know why it's doing that little like rolling thing. It must be, there's got to be a reason behind it. There we go. But anyways, these are sparklers. So I think I am kind of doing like a pinky brown. Sorry. I don't know what to do. I'm just like, I'm like nervous. I don't know what to do. I've never been like this before. I think turtle doves. Let's go ahead and like pop into this. Oh, it is the MAC palette. It is Feast Your Eyes. I always want to call it Tempting Fate or whatever it's called, but that's the collection's name. So let's talk about the current makeup climate. I'm seeing on Instagram, like, and it's not, no. It's called Feast Your Eyes. And it is from the Tempting Fate collection, as I believe. It had 3 lipsticks, 3 lip liners, this palette, and 2 brushes. This brush and maybe another brush, or this was the only brush, but this is the brush right here. Yeah. This was the brush that came with, well, it didn't come with it, but you could buy. So I'm going to use Turtle Doves. I'm going to place it all over my lid so that I've got a base here for that sparkler shade. Anyways, going back to the current economic climate, not economic climate, makeup climate. I'm seeing releases way before, or am I just crazy? Am I just like insane or something? Like they just released the MAC holiday palette or holiday collection, I should say, not palette, but holiday collection. And it wasn't even September when they announced it. It was like almost like it was leaked, but it was like MAC was okay with it, I guess. I don't know. And it was even before the fall collection came out, which they just now released. So it's like, I'm really concerned about what companies are trying, what marketing technique is this imploring onto us? Why would they bring that out sooner? Because they know that we're in an economic recession. We have to save up our money to purchase these collections. Is it somebody just like leaking the information, the pictures or something? Is it what is behind releasing something in August, at the end of August, that's going to come out in maybe Black Friday is when MAC used to release their holiday collection. I don't know. Anybody, any thoughts on that? I'd love to hear it down below. I'm just one of those people, I want to prepare myself. Like, I don't want to get caught with my pants down. Why? What would the purpose of a business be to launch the ideal behind a collection way in advance? Are people going to forget about it? What's the reason for it? What is the reason for it? I have some ABH glitter glue because I don't have my setting spray with me, which I would normally use. I have a little bit of, excuse me. Okay. It's like not the school calling or something. That would scare me. Okay. So Steven says that he thinks that it's a supply chain. Okay. I would be okay with that. A lot more okay with that than, say, if this is some sort of like marketing tactic that they're trying to use on us to get us to, I don't know, save up our money and spend it on that. Or I don't know. Like I couldn't figure it out. So I'm dipping into blue. And that's definitely a good point there, Stephen. I know we fought that. Well, a lot of companies fought that last year. Ooh, is this hard painting? I think that was supposed to be used with your finger initially. I think that's what it's designed for. These sparkler shades are really pretty. I have also, when I was able to stop buying, I was able to start assessing what my true taste for makeup is. Instead of buying a little bit of everything, which is what I was doing, I started to hone in on what I truly liked, which is going to attract what people are like-minded in my sense. And I'm not saying that all of you guys have the same preferences I do, but when you start drilling down into like what you truly want, I'm gonna have to use my finger. That's just the way it's gonna have to go. Because I think it's hard panning. No, it's not hard panning. It's just, it's too light of an application. Yes, constantly having sales to the point that you're worried for them. I'm worried for Pat McGrath. People say, "Oh, she's good, she's good." I don't think, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I'm waiting for this to unfold. You know, and I know a lot of people said that they could see the writing on the wall with Makeup Geek, but if somebody that paved the way for indie makeup can, you know, close their doors, and it might have been her time. That's just, I think honestly, it was just her time. She just didn't want to do it anymore. She's done it for close to 14 years. She's done. She wants to pursue other things. Totally get it. But I think if somebody like that can do something, we can see bigger things happening. You know, we can see bigger things happening. And I'm not so sure we won't. If I have to write down, like, I want this palette, it causes me to stop and think, why do you want this palette, Kendra? What about this palette really appeals to you? Or what about this eyeshadow collection, this single eyeshadow collection appeals to you? You know? Yeah. Maybe we're trying to be conservative and not say names. Maybe I shouldn't have said, you know, Pat McGrath, but that's just one of them that I've noticed. That is one of them that I've noticed. Is that was kind of like, all right, that's a little bit concerning that, you know, someone who I don't even know if she offered 30% off last year on her Black Friday sale. I want to say it was only 25%. Could offer 30% off for end summer sale. Just kind of makes you wonder. It does kind of make you wonder. Back to some of the tips that I traditionally give. I also don't really like the idea of counting up how much money I have spent on my collection, because it's like saying, like, oh, hi Jamila, fangirling over here right now. Thanks for joining in. I have watched your channel like just gain momentum at so many levels. I'm like so excited for it. Let me use some of this. I have put on some Kula SPF, but it's like super cloudy out. But it is the Kula Nude Beach. It's like super neutral, and it looks so warm on me. Maybe it is warm tone, but I thought it looked neutral. Definitely doesn't look like that in the pictures. It doesn't look like this in the pictures. I thought it looked more neutral, but I love Jamila. And now I can really sit back and watch channels, and I can appreciate what they do for us. And really, you know, it's almost like content creators are going to start getting. Oh, thank you. Yeah, these indie brands, they're spanking it. I mean, I don't want to get violent over there, but so I am using, this is a deluxe mini sample of the Dang Girl by Too Faced, which I got it. I don't even remember when I got it as a deluxe sample. Don't know for what reason or anything like that. I have no idea. But here I am using it because my Makeup Geek ran out. And I haven't yet purchased. I kind of want to see what I can do and stretch out until Black Friday. Just because I'm enjoying not buying makeup. And I never thought that day would come, but I am. I'm enjoying not purchasing. Oh, yeah. I seen that did you premiere or did you live stream? I can't remember, but it was a really awesome video where you talked about Pat McGrath, 45% off. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to see what she says. And I caught like, I don't know, the tail end of it, but oh my goodness. Moonlit Seduction. So Moonlit Seduction. I did not know this, that she changed up the formulas. The special shades aren't so special. Jamila, I do have a Black Friday wish list. I did a live stream last week and I kind of took you guys through some of my wish list. And yeah, I do have a little wish list going. Surprisingly, I only have like one collection of single eyeshadows that I want to add, which is the Divina Moonscape collection. But a lot of other stuff is palettes. After I broke my foot, which I broke my foot, by the way, I started appreciating the awesomeness of palettes, the simplicity, and I couldn't appreciate them so much more now than before, because it's very difficult for me to even just get up, go over there, walk over, and kind of like grab some single eyeshadows out. It's pretty difficult for me right now. It's hard for me to stand for long periods of time. It's getting a lot better though. I am on another 2.5 weeks on crutches. So I was, oh, thank you, Jamila. Yeah, I broke my foot in 2018 and I broke it again stepping off the sidewalk. So it was like I wasn't even doing anything cool like water skiing. No, it was literally just I'm getting around and that happened. But yeah, I have a little wish list going. Technically, my no buy doesn't end until December 8th, my year-long no buy, but you know, I might give myself some grace and pick something out. I don't think so though, because I really truly am enjoying my collection. And I also feel like, you know, I want to stay firm in that and really just make sure like, hey, do I really want this or not? Kind of thing. I did consider, so I don't know if you guys have been, Physicians Formula released that Breakfast Club collection. I really fell hardcore in love with that. Oh, watch me mess this up like big time. And it was the old glue that's still a little tacky. But yeah, I have a list there. I want the Moira Celestial Palette Bundle. I want and this one I actually did consider breaking my no buy for because of limited edition purposes. But the Breakfast Club X Physicians Formula collection, I really wanted it. I tried winning it on somebody's page. I didn't win it. That's okay. But I seriously did consider, I did get some birthday money and it would have been enough to cover the cost of that. But then I was like, I don't know if that's what I really want. I just don't know. And then I was kind of hoping that Physicians Formula would have a Labor Day sale. And I was like, okay, it's in the stars for me to get the collection if they have a sale. They didn't have a sale. Oh, the Lightworks palette. Oh my goodness. Yes. I really like that. That new one. The new one. But you know what? I watched a review on it and somebody said those topper shades really weren't as spectacular as they thought they would be. And you know what? Once I saw them all swatched out, I was kind of like, you know, I kind of agree. They look almost like iridescent topper shades. Like I have some Divina, is it the Halo Moon collection? Yeah, it's the Halo Moon collection. And they're all like iridescent and they're all like topper shadows. Oh, well, that sounds great, Stephen. So, you know, I don't know that I don't need to spend. And that's what's so great about it. It's like, I don't need to spend and you don't need to spend. You've got a wonderful collection and you are enough, Stephen. You really are. So yeah, never feel like you need to spend. Jamila, that is what gets me is a steep discount. You give me a steep discount and I am so surprised I didn't buy during that glitch sale. I was so stinking surprised. But here's the really, this was the factor that pulled me in. I bought steep discounted makeup at Coastal Scents. They went out of business. I bought steep discounted makeup at Makeup Geek when they were offering, like they had this blast off of 40% off makeup. Makeup Geek did it like it was like a weekend sale or something like that. And I bought then and And then they closed. And I was like, the writing might be on the wall for this brand. I don't know. I don't want to put it out in the universe because I think Pat McGrath is a great and wonderful and they're innovative brand. But here's the thing. I just don't know if you can keep launching a palette with matte pinks in it and win. I just don't know. I'm also not a brand owner, so I can't say, but that's, I don't know. I thought for sure, I was like, let me watch this unfold. Pat McGrath might be going under because I had calculated up, you could get a 3-pack palette. Those like the trios, the mothership trios, those were on sale for like $230. And then you got the 50% off that. That was like $115. Then you divided that out into 3 palettes and you were paying about $40 a palette. And I was like, that seems really close to the manufacturing price, like how much it would cost to make that palette. So I'm like, that just seems weird. And then how they didn't really address it. And so like, it's like she did this sale, but she was embarrassed to do the sale. I don't know. Ruby has been great inspiration in many aspects of my life. Just Ruby is a really, really good, well-rounded individual. Ruby, if you're still on, you're a well-rounded individual. And there's so many things that I look up to her on. And she's such a huge role model. You know, everything from getting fit, getting healthier, just her ability to mindfully address her mental health, if that's, not like mental health, like in a bad way or anything like that, but just, pay attention and create space for that. That's something that I admire about her. Absolutely. Ruby's amazing. Facts. Boom. There it is. That's it right there. And rent's going up. Cost of living is going up. Our bills have been going up. And I don't know if you guys know, but we used to have a little bit more disposable income last year and the year before. And then my husband started a new job and kind of, I don't know if you want to say started at the bottom. He advanced as far as jobs goes, like brand. I don't know what you call them. He advanced as far as that goes, but he, went back down kind of to the bottom of the ladder again. So then, it's a little bit starting over. It's a little bit getting ahead. Is this, okay, Jamila, you say Pat has so many glitch sales and so many sales in general, but she does have a bit of a cult following. Yeah, I got a lot of hate for doing those 2 palettes with the Pat McGrath, and that is also another thing that I think kind of fueled my buying, was that I did not realize when you come in and bring some controversy to the table, you need to feel very strongly about who you are inside. And at the end of the day, it's just makeup. And at the end of the day, if I'm duping the vibes of a Natasha Denona palette, doesn't mean I don't like Natasha Denona. It doesn't mean that I'm, squatting on her brand or anything like that. It just means like, here's what I'm using instead, kind of thing. And these people, they might feel some sort of way, but it's not anything to do with me. It's mostly to do with them. Because if you're defending a brand that doesn't know you, then, and you're just out there attacking people for like, here's what I'm using instead. And I know this isn't the same formula, and I know this isn't the same exact shade, but this is what I'm using instead, kind of thing. And I felt like I did a pretty good job of creating that type of space, but maybe not. Maybe I did kind of come off as kind of a parody at times. People would really come for me. And then I started being like, oh, I see what they mean. Like, I can't remember the first palette that I duped it, and then I went out and bought it, and I was like, oh, this is nothing. These aren't the same, And then I remember the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I was like, I wanted it so bad, and it was out of stock. And then all of a sudden she brought it back, and I jumped on it, bought it. And then in the meantime, I found some shadows that in my collection that I thought might kind of dupe the vibes. And then I compared it and I was like, this really isn't that far. And if there's any palette that's been the hardest, it was my Natasha Denona Gold, because there is not one, not two, but count it, 6 different formulations contained within that palette. It was very innovative and ahead of its time. It was so difficult to dupe that. Not even indie shadows could really touch some of the shades that were like those chroma crystals that she had put in there, because she put chroma crystals in previous palettes. They didn't look anything like the Kava and the Sparks that we see in Natasha Denona Gold. But anyways, that's enough of that. That's another palette that you can't buy, by the way. So that's why I'm talking about it the way I am. So it's definitely Jamila. They get too sensitive about dupes. Yeah, they take it personally, like I'm attacking Pat McGrath. No, I'm not attacking Pat McGrath. And so my last video, it was like I was like, this is what I'm doing instead, because I just don't have the money to spend on stuff like that. And I'm going to be real honest with you. I think more people need to have that conversation, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are going in debt to do these review channels, to start this. And they think that there's going to be this return on investment. And I don't know. And I don't know if they just don't know on the YouTube AdSense portion of it, you wouldn't see a return on investment. I don't think. I could be wrong. I'm not a review channel, so I don't know. But I do know this: review what you really truly want to own, and the rest of it. I think Samantha March started a really great series of the Will I Buy It? She really did a great job of that, because you don't need to just go out and buy everything. You'll fall for, anything. It's like if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. There's some great conversation here in the chats. I love dupe palettes because I sometimes makes me realize I don't need it or I don't want it. Yeah. That's the number one key, is if I can determine whether or not I want to actually own a palette. And that is something that also, maybe I should talk about this a little bit on my channel, this episode here. What direction am I going to go into? I think number one, I'm no longer going to dupe a palette that I don't truly desire to own. So like if somebody puts out a rainbow palette. Oh, Steven says it's really unhelpful. Let me go ahead and finish this thought, and then we'll go ahead and go into your comment, because I want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to go out here and dupe a rainbow palette, because I know as soon as I get done filming that, I'm not likely to use it much. I'm just not a rainbow person. I'm a neutral lover with a pop of muted earth tone color. That is my style. I'm actually going to do a video over that. I want people to start opening up their palettes and seeing, what is my style? Like, if you open up 10 of the 30 palettes that you own, and 15 of them or 18 of them are rainbow, or a rainbow with like 3 or 4 neutral mattes, browns, then chances are you're a colors lover. And that's what you trend towards, so on and so forth. But anyways, Steven says, I think Will I Buy is actually really unhelpful, because it centers the conversation around shopping. I think a reframing is important. That really gives me something to think about. That is, I don't watch a lot of those Will I Buy It's. And the reason I don't is because I'm not a review channel, for number one. Number two, you can really teeter into some unhealthy, especially when people started trending towards anti-hauls, I think it's really unhealthy, If you like it, you like it. It's okay. It's okay to like it. Let's not beat ourselves up for having this wish list that's, like 10 miles long. Let's not beat ourselves up for if we fall off the bandwagon and we purchase when maybe we didn't really want to. Let's start having a conversation about, hey, I am Kendra Morgan, and in 2020, I purchased way too much makeup. That is what I want us to start talking about. When we start doing that, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm not the only one that feels like this. And I was buying, and that was just a crutch, literally a crutch for something else that was going on in my life. I was I felt very, very, very uncomfortable when the pandemic hit. Even before then, I was feeling very uncomfortable. I really centered a lot of my identity in being a stay-at-home mom and giving up my career. And that made me feel uncomfortable, because I was like, I shouldn't feel bad for giving up what I worked 18 years of school for. You know, I went to school all these years. I went to school for all these years, and now I just gave up that job. That bothered me a lot. And now I've since kind of gained back, like, I'm a person. I'm not just, you know, Benny and Isaiah's mommy. I'm a wife, you know, and so on and so forth. Will I buy instead of will I buy it? Things like I'm tempted by this or adding to wish list. Ooh, adding to wish list versus take my money or run, don't walk. Run, don't walk. Seen that kind of talk, and that really is a little upsetting. I thought the beauty community was going to do a little better than that. The run, don't walk, to go out and buy this brand new bronzer. No, ma'am. If you've already got a bronzer and it's working for you, fine. And if you have a bronzer, it should be if your bronzer looks really patchy in this area, that's what mine was doing. I was using this. I switched to this, and it seems to work a lot better for me. So if you're having that problem, you're really self-conscious about that makeup aspect, maybe you could consider trying something like this. That's the way I think we should talk about stuff, is this is what worked for me, or this is what didn't work for me. Yeah, I don't watch much of it at all. I do watch Christine Holtzcraft. I do like her Will I Buy. I have in the past sneaked in on a couple of them, but what I do is I scroll to see who's buying the brand new Natasha Denona collection and whether or not they're going to buy. I do get kind of like nosy about that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I don't do that. In fact, I devoted a year of, I'm not going to let people know if Refer's having a 40% off sale. That's on you, folks. If you want to buy one, get one, go for it. But I'm not going to post it on my community tabs. I don't want to do that. I don't want to tempt people, don't want to tempt myself. And also, I just think that's not what the community tab is for. I really strive to be like way out there, because that's who I was to begin with. That's how way I've always been, marching to the beat of my own drum. Jamila says, I hate when people push buying products exactly on release date when they know it will go on sale. Absolutely. It has not even, it used to be last year. Pat McGrath did the Utopian Dreams, and she had a sale, some little 20% off, some little crumb of a sale. She then did not put Utopian Dreams. She didn't include that. This year, I believe it was different, because now there's some sort of, you can buy 2 palettes for $230, and you can get, and then you could get the 30% off of that, making each palette about $80 a piece. Now, I did that research on my own. I'm not trying to advertise for her or anything like that. I just was going out there and seeing that's how it is. And I think it was because, Jamila, you said it was 45% off of the Pat McGrath palette, the Mothership. And I think that's how I was able to, I just kind of backtracked and back calculated, like, oh, that's where she gets the 45% off. But I don't remember exactly. Cicely, you say that you don't have a YouTube channel yet. Oh, you don't have a YouTube channel. Just have a small following on Instagram, and you try to be very careful about getting or promoting new releases framed in a way where I'm tempting people. I don't share sales either. Yeah, I'm just not really sharing the sales. Now, I know that in the past, sometimes I have like brought to attention, like if there's a huge, steep, like exit stage left kind of deal, I might let people know. I always did kind of like the idea of sharing the Makeup Geek sales, because I was very well known from my Makeup Geek collection, and I probably still am. But when Makeup Geek closed, I was like, can this get any worse? It's the worst news I've heard, right next to Coastal Scents. And I mean, I'm telling you, 1, 2, 3 drawers out of my 9 drawers that I'm using for single eyeshadow palettes. So 3 divided by 9, what's 33%? That's more than that. Thanks so much for joining us, Stephen. I'm about ready to get out of here too. You guys probably have so much more to do, but I just love sitting here and hanging out with you guys and chatting. Yeah, you know how tempting it is when people share releases on their Instagram stories, and when they do the whole run, don't walk thing. Yeah, absolutely. That's why today I tried to focus on using something that none of you guys could really get a hold of, or maybe you wouldn't even want to get a hold of it. Just use that. And I was planning on using all of my Makeup Geek eyeshadow brushes that I got That was actually, if you guys haven't been around here much, but that is the first time that I broke my no buy. It was in the April going out of business sale. Makeup Geek, I was an affiliate for them. I wasn't on their PR list, but I was an affiliate for them. And they cut me the last, check. And I was like, I just kind of want to give it back to Makeup Geek. So I went ahead and I got their brushes, and it was almost like within like $3 or $4 exactly the amount that I was getting. I'm so glad that this was helpful for you guys. Probably going to spend another couple Fridays with you. But so my channel, I've had this in my mind for a really long time. I used to shop AliExpress makeup, and there's a way to shop AliExpress makeup such that you can appreciate the Chinese brands. And then there's Chinese makeup that like they do the fake makeup, and I need to teach people how to shop for that, because you can get yourself into trouble, but you can also get yourself into some really, really good, fun, awesome makeup. And I kind of want to dive into some of those Chinese brands to see what kind of formulas, because they're starting to catch on to the shiny, shifty, polarized stuff. It's really cute to see AliExpress. I think they use like an auto translator, so some of their eyeshadows literally say mashed potato, which is probably their way of describing a bouncy, like a cream gelée type of formula, but they say mashed potatoes. That's how it translates. It's really cute. And there's some really good Chinese brands that I want to try, and they sell some singles, and they're not really like super, super cheap, but they're not really expensive either. And sometimes I think that might be, in people's budgets, and they could add just what they want. Okay, so you've seen it too. I don't know if it's the way it's translated or if it's just they translate it that way, because they don't know how else to say like creamy gelée formula or something like that. But I really appreciate it. The whole mashed potato. It's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's real soft and bouncy. Hi, Kelly. Thanks so much for dropping by. Yeah, we're just sitting here chit-chatting, using some makeup that is no longer available for purchase, so that we're not tempted to buy anything. I just don't want you guys to be tempted to buy anything. It used to be that, I felt like you went to YouTube to find reviews. And I still think, and I still believe firmly in that. If you really, want to, you should be able to find reviews. But I think we need to go back to the SEO idea of you buy what you like, you review it, you put it into YouTube's and use the metadata, right? And then you should be able to be found through the search engine. Not, I'm going to go subscribe to this one person because they're doing Tom Ford, they're doing Dior, they're doing Chanel, they're doing Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona, and I can't wait till they review this, and then they review that. And then that places a lot of pressure on these content creators to buy all of this makeup. And I wonder if they even really aspire to own that much or all of those types of things. So bye, Kelly. You have a great day. And so I wish we could all go back to go into the search engine, you type in what you really want. Like, I want to see this. And I've actually started going back to that instead of trying to find content creators through, I do love the community when you find them through the community, but also for, so you're struggling to search for deep creators. So, I used to watch Face Caption. He did a lot of makeup, and he did a lot of darker clients. He's also darker too. And then Nima Tang, I'm sure you know her, Jackie Ina. She kind of quit. I mean, she's doing something different now, which is fine. There's not a lot. There is not a lot that I have that I'm subscribed to that are deeper in color. And I like subscribing to the deeper and the medium skin tones when I would do makeup on others, just to see like what products are they using, what techniques are they using for that type of skin, that kind of thing, and those skin tones. So yes, and I think that that's good to watch somebody's personality, but I just don't want them to feel pressured to buy all this makeup and review it. Like, I see a lot of toxicity coming from a viewer perspective as well. I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, because quite frankly, I can't even think of any right now, but they'll be like, will you review this XYZ collection for us? And I'm like thinking, darling, that's a $378 collection. That's somebody's light bill plus their cell phone payment. Like, that puts a lot of pressure on people. And then there's people that have that perfectionism, which I'm realizing is actually not a good trait. That's a sign, not a sign of weakness, but it's actually not a good trait to have. It's a sign of insecurity if you're a perfectionist. And then you get these people who are perfectionists, and then they feel obligated to buy this collection or this palette. It really sinks in when it's a collection. If it's just a palette, I can maybe say like, oh yeah, I would love to see you da 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 da. I have found myself asking Dr. Dre if she would review XYZ sunscreen. But that's because she's so knowledgeable, and I think she receives a lot of it in PR anyway. So I'm like, well, if you're already getting it, can you just, show us how it works and everything? But yeah, I think these perfectionist content creators, I really feel for them. I think we should go back to just, I don't know if I will review this collection when it comes time and it drops. Please, I urge you to use the search tool, type in the collection, and find somebody who's done a review on that. I like Dr. Dre too. That's kind of where I got my sunscreen. Actually, what did I get my sunscreen from? We camp a lot in the summer, and I needed a way to reapply sunscreen over my makeup. And so I would buy these these spray sunscreens, and I would try them on my face. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I had seen it's not Drugstore Maven anymore. It's Margaret Taylor. She was like, I'm using this Neutrogena Daily Defense Spray over my makeup. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and buy that. I'm going to try that. And I tried it, and actually that video took off. And so then I was like, okay, it's working. People need to see content around this because they're not seeing it. So then I started doing the makeup setting sprays. But it's kind of fizzled out a little bit because I'm not really finding a makeup setting spray that really performs like astronomically different than any other one, because they generally tend to have the same active ingredients. So they all kind of get oily after a while. That's just the nature of it, I think. And you can get like your Kate Somersville that has the matte. And then there's another one that was mattifying, but it kind of feels like you're putting sand on it too. It's almost like they're putting something in there that soaks up that. And then you kind of have to wonder. Entire Milk collection, that was $450. The Amore Maripouse, yeah, that collection, $450. And then it went on a steep discount right after that. And it was almost like a slap in the face to those content creators who spent that much money. Yeah, it was very, very, I can remember my first, like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to review it. It was Pat McGrath's Celestial Divinity palette. And I wrote out the script while I bought the palette, wrote out the script, did all the tags, did everything, SEO. The palette came. I was literally like window ninja, that's what I was doing. And then I got the palette and I did the review, and I did 2 looks with it. And that stinking video flopped. To this day, it's still not a very good performing video. And I'll tell you what, I was like, my hats are off to these content creators that are review channels. That is no way to live, in my opinion, unless that's just you just live life on the edge. I was ready to go home and jump off the couch after that one. And I was like, that told me right there, I'm not a review channel. Not a review channel. And what was so great about duping the vibes of, or what I'm using instead, is I already had all the material. Once I had swatches, once I had the palette that I could see, and maybe hopefully there wasn't any filters on it, I could really get a good feel for like what I was going to do as far as content around that. So that's what really stuck to me. And I don't see a lot of content creators that consistently dupe the vibes of. I see some of them, and they do, Hannah Louise Poston does every now and then when she gets really tempted, which I think is great. And so does Lauren May Beauty. But I don't see a lot of content creators do that. And I think we don't see it because a lot of them probably get it, A, in PR, or B, they have the budget to go ahead and financially spend the money to review it on their channel. So that's probably what we see a lot of. Yeah, $450. I remember that. And I was like, I don't really think this isn't really worth it. What can I buy for $450? I can buy about almost 2 weeks of groceries for our entire family of 4. We got 2 little boys, very picky eaters. So they like the processed, heat meat types of food. So expensive, right? And, yeah, just $450, it's a little bit of money. And my perception of things were so skewed when I was buying makeup, like, oh, $120, $129 for this palette, but it's so worth it. No, it wasn't. I can't really say that about the gold palette. I really do like it. But here's the thing. Once you buy something, the idea is that you buy it, you spend time with it, you find a place in your collection for it, you use the makeup, and you find some really beautiful looks. You enjoy the experience behind it. And that takes time, and that should occupy some of your time. So that's why I don't really tell people, like, if you're on a no buy and you fall off for some reason or another, like, it's okay. Go ahead, spend some time with that makeup that you broke your no buy for. Use the makeup, put some content around it if that's what you so choose, and really spend some time with it, because guess what? That time you're spending with it, that's therapeutic, first of all. And second of all, that's taking away from that escapism of filling shopping cart after shopping cart after shopping cart, which is, I kind of came back to that when I broke my foot. I would just look and see like what sales were out there for Labor Day and this, that, and the other, because I'm sitting around on a couch. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for sticking around and chatting with me. I just want everybody to know out there to have a great, wonderful weekend. And let me know how you guys are doing in the comment section below on your low buy or no buy, or if you're in a season of makeup buying, let me know how that's going as well. I can't wait to see you guys on my next live. Bye.